This incident took place in May 2025. At first, it didn't seem like the kind of story that would terrify me for life. But I was wrong. Me and my friend Brandon had planned a 10-day trip to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. Brandon decided to bring along his girlfriend, Michelle. When I first met her, she seemed polite, normal even. But the longer I was around her, the more uneasy I felt. There was something off about her. She was constantly controlling, demanding certain restaurants, insisting we visit places outside Universal Studios, and worst of all, she never stopped talking. It was as if she had no off switch. At night, neither I nor Brandon could sleep because she would keep talking endlessly. Brandon had asked if she could stay in our hotel room since she couldn't afford her own. I agreed. That was my first mistake. 2 days into the trip, I returned to the room after dinner, only to find the place completely trashed. Items were broken, souvenirs destroyed, even my clothes ruined. I asked what happened, but before Brandon could speak, Michelle snapped at me. "Not my problem. It's your room. You paid for it." That was it. I had enough. I told them they needed to get their own room immediately. But that's when Michelle did something I never could have expected. Her expression changed. Dark, cold. She pulled out a knife. Without warning, she lunged at me, aiming straight for my head. Somehow, by pure instinct, I managed to slam the door into her face, knocking her to the ground. I ran as fast as I could to the front desk and begged them to call the police. Michelle was arrested that night. Brandon paid me back for the damages. But just 2 days later, she was released. And the horror didn't end there. After her release, she tried the same attack, this time on Brandon. But the most disturbing part? Even after everything, Brandon refuses to break up with her. He's too afraid of what she might do next. To this day, that night in Orlando remains one of the most terrifying experiences of my entire life. And it's a chilling reminder. You never truly know who you're meeting online until it's too late. I'm sure you've all had those dreamy summer vacations that you look forward to all year. Mine was supposed to be one of them, a perfect blend of relaxation, adventure, and unforgettable memories with friends. We had planned this trip for months, meticulously organizing every detail to ensure it was nothing short of amazing. The location was a beautiful beachside resort, surrounded by lush green forests and crystal-clear waters. It was the ideal setting to unwind and have some fun in the sun. Our group was buzzing with excitement as we arrived, our laughter echoing across the warm breeze. Everything seemed picture perfect. The cozy accommodations, the friendly staff, the smell of salt water in the air. It was almost too perfect. For the first few days, everything went exactly as planned. We spent mornings on the beach, afternoons playing volleyball, and evenings exploring the town. The energy was high, and the fun felt endless. But, like every good story, ours took a turn the moment curiosity got the better of us. During one of our exploration trips, we stumbled upon something unusual, an old abandoned mansion hidden behind a cluster of twisted trees. Its windows were shattered, its roof sagged with age, and its walls were marked with strange black stains. The locals whispered about it being haunted, but we just laughed, calling it the perfect place for ghost stories. At the time, we didn't realize how much truth lay in those whispers. That night, things started small. In our resort rooms, we noticed strange symbols scratched into the walls. At first, we thought it was just graffiti left behind by pranksters. Then came the whispers. So faint, we couldn't tell if it was the wind or something else. Every time we turned to listen closely, the sound stopped. We joked about it at first, but the unease was slowly settling in. The following evening, while we were trying to sleep, a loud bang shook the windows. We all jumped up, rushing to the balcony. Out there, under the pale glow of the moon, a figure darted into the shadows of the trees. It wasn't one of us, and it moved too quickly to be a tourist. The silence that followed was unbearable. From that night on, none of us felt safe. The tension escalated when one of my friends, John, claimed he saw someone standing at the foot of his bed in the middle of the night. He swore it wasn't a dream. We checked his room in panic, but nothing was there, except for the smell of damp earth lingering in the air. Days passed, but the strangeness only deepened. Doors creaked open on their own, mirrors fogged up with words we didn't write, and sometimes our reflections didn't match our movements. We were laughing less, sleeping less, and watching our shadows more closely. The most harrowing experience came one evening when I decided to take a walk in the woods alone. The air was heavy, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. That's when I spotted a small, broken-down cabin tucked between the trees. Something about it felt wrong, but I couldn't stop myself from moving closer. As I reached the door, I froze. Someone, or something, whispered my name. The voice wasn't loud, but it cut through me like ice. It wasn't any of my friends. They were all back at the resort. My chest tightened and I tried to run, but my legs refused to move. It was as if the earth itself had trapped me there. Then, from the cracked window of the cabin, I saw a pale hand press against the glass. Not waving, not moving, just pressing, watching. When I finally broke free and stumbled back to the resort, I was shaking uncontrollably. My friends thought I was exaggerating, but the fear in my eyes told them otherwise. After that night, the resort no longer felt like a safe haven. The walls seemed thinner, the darkness heavier. We decided to leave early, but when we asked the staff to arrange transport, they gave us a strange look. "You're not the first group to cut your vacation short," one of them whispered. "Not everyone manages to leave." That sentence alone was enough to silence us. On our last night, as we packed in a hurry, we heard it again, the whispers. Only this time, it wasn't faint. It was loud, urgent, echoing through the hallways. We ran out, dragging our bags, only to find every exit door locked. The resort that once felt welcoming now felt like a trap. By morning, one door finally opened, and we rushed out without looking back. We never returned, never spoke about it openly again. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I still hear that same voice calling my name. And I wonder if part of me never really left that place. I've always loved the mountains. Every summer, I make it a point to escape to some hill station far away from the noise of the city. Last year was no different. A group of my closest friends and I planned a trip to a remote destination, Fairy Meadows. The journey itself was exhausting. First, a rugged jeep ride that shook our bones, and then hours of climbing narrow trails on foot. By the time we finally reached, evening had already settled over the peaks. The destination was quiet, eerily so. There was nothing there except a single old farmhouse standing lonely among the trees. I had heard whispers about this place even before we arrived. People claimed to have seen strange figures in the woods, heard voices in the night, even experienced things that couldn't be explained. But we were young, reckless, and in the mood for adventure. We laughed it off, eager to prove ourselves braver than the stories. After dinner, my friends, tired from the journey, disappeared into their rooms one by one. I wasn't ready to sleep. I wanted to enjoy the mountain air, so I stayed outside, sitting in the courtyard of the farmhouse with my headphones on, music playing softly, cigarette in hand. For a while, it was peaceful. The stars stretched endlessly above me, and the silence of the hills felt almost comforting. But then, something changed. From the corner of my eye, I thought I saw movement. Something shifting between the trees in the distance. A shape, darker than the night itself, as if it didn't belong there. It felt like it was watching me. I tried to brush it off. Maybe it was my tired eyes playing tricks, maybe just an animal. I turned the music louder, forcing myself to focus on the rhythm instead of the unease crawling up my spine. But then I heard it, a sound that cut through the music. It was faint, almost like a whisper carried by the wind, followed by the unmistakable sensation that someone was standing right behind me. My heart dropped into my stomach. I froze, my cigarette burning down between my fingers. Slowly, I pulled my headphones off. The world went silent again. Silent, except for footsteps. They weren't rushed, they weren't heavy, just slow, deliberate steps, trailing me as I bolted toward my room. I didn't dare look back, I just ran. My own heartbeat thundered in my ears, but beneath it, I swear I could still hear those footsteps, matching mine, following me closer and closer. I slammed the door shut and dove under the blanket like a child hiding from the dark. My chest was heaving, every muscle tense, listening. And that's when I knew I wasn't imagining it, because something, or someone, was standing right outside my door. I could hear it breathing. Then, as if to make its presence undeniable, another sound joined in, the distinct thud of stones hitting the farmhouse roof. One after another, sharp, deliberate, not random, not the wind, as though something wanted me to know it was there, as though it was mocking me. The sound went on for what felt like hours. My eyelids grew heavier, my fear numbing into exhaustion. Eventually, despite the noise, I drifted into an uneasy sleep. When I woke, sunlight was streaming through the window. The roof was quiet. The air felt calm, almost too calm, as if the night had been nothing more than a nightmare. Outside, the sunrise painted fairy meadows in breathtaking colors. My friends were laughing, packing their things, ready to continue the trip. I forced a smile and joined them, never mentioning what I had heard, what I had felt. But even now, when I think back to that night, I can still hear the echo of stones striking the roof, as if something in fairy meadows was trying to remind me that it had been real. If you've had any creepy experiences, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. And if you want to check out another one of my videos, I have a link to it right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.